opposition files a legal challenge to block legislation that it says will invade citizens' privacy. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Wednesday, May 9th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. The opposition People's National Party, the PNP, has filed a lawsuit challenging aspects of the National Identification Registration Act, which will create a National Identification System, NIDS. NIDS is intended to provide a comprehensive and secure structure to enable the capture and storage of identity information for all Jamaicans, and each citizen will be provided with a randomized 9-digit national identification number, which they will have for life. The act providing for NIDS was passed last November despite strong opposition from PNP members of Parliament. But the PNP says it's a violation of people's privacy. The party's General Secretary Julian Robinson on Tuesday filed a motion in the Supreme Court against the Attorney General to get the offending sections of the act terminated. We get more in this TVJ News report.
President of the People's National Party, Dr. Peter Phillips, at a media briefing on Tuesday morning, saying sections of the National Identification System NIDS Act infringes on citizens' rights protected by the Constitution. He says the PNP is seeking an order that the sections be declared null and void.
We believe that, as I have said, that there are elements of the bill that infringe the basic constitutional rights of our citizens. Any benefits to be derived from digitization of public administration and from a national identification system must be done within the context of adequate and robust data protection and security.
Dr. Phillips adds that the lawsuit is a direct response to the government's refusal to put the act to a joint select committee of Parliament while it was debated. He says the bill was passed with undue urgency.
This bill that was rushed through the Parliament is flawed. It was poorly drafted, which may be seen in the fact that there were some 264 amendments to the bill in the Parliament, which is perhaps a record as far as public legislation is concerned.
People's National Party Attorney-at-Law Donna Scott Motley added that the opposition would be acting on behalf of concerned Jamaicans.
It is our considered opinion, supported by over 60,000 people who did an online petition to the government, and supported by various interest groups who were so moved by the circumstances that they took out a full-page ad, joining in the call for the government to stop, take a break, and put the matter back in Joint Select Committee. This was totally ignored, and so today we are acting as the loyal opposition of the people of this country, and we are defending and protecting their constitutional rights.
National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang has described the opposition's lawsuit as unfortunate, and he says the law is critical for creating a national identification database, and the system would benefit those who are less privileged. Staying in Jamaica, Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson says the country can expect a crime plan within a few weeks. He made the promise on RJR's hotline program on Tuesday afternoon, saying the police force had been working on one for a while. The top cop said the focus areas of the crime plan will be gangs, guns, and murders.
Between all of those, we have investigations that are transnational, that are ongoing to look at all of these things. We have specific plans and operations around gangs and gang activity in order to get them convicted, and we'll see some groupings collectively being charged under anti-gang legislation, and you'll see those unfolding. And then public order, how we treat with public order is another thing, because obviously public order creates the environment where crime occurs.
Trinidad and Tobago's opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar has announced plans to file a motion of no confidence against the National Security Minister Edmund Dillon. It comes just 2 weeks after similar action was taken against Works and Transport Minister Rohan Sinanan for what she described as a collapsed sea bridge. Persad-Bissessar is now turning her attention to Dillon for what she says is his failure to address the skyrocketing murder and crime rates. We get more in this CNC3 news report.
Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar says criminals are on a rampage.
We are seeing a new trend, a new kind of crime, and that is with home invasions. Criminals are invading your homes. I wonder what the Prime Minister would say to the family of Nizam Mohammed, starved to death during a home invasion. That 60-year-old man's wife, Rakina, was also stabbed. What would he say to them?
To this end, she wants National Security Minister Edmund Dillon held accountable.
In this regard, we have prepared, in fact, up to last night in caucus, we prepared the final draft of a motion of no confidence in Dillon, the Minister of National Security.
The announcement was made during a political meeting in Tunapuna on Monday. Persad-Bissessar says the increase in crime is directly linked to the economic hardships being experienced under the government. She is now hoping that Finance Minister Com Imber delivers on his promise of good news when he updates the nation on the country's fiscal and economic performance during Thursday's mid-year budget review.
I would like him to come and tell us that he will give back the baby grant where mothers are resorting to stealing powder milk for their children, baby powder and baby milk. I would like him to come and tell us, look, now things are better. I am going now to ease up the pensioners and the disabled. We are going to give back people, the poor and the vulnerable, their food cards. Those are the things that he should be doing with the extra money that he says he's getting, and now that we've turned the corner.
Persad-Bissessar says her party isn't standing idly by to tackle the unemployment issue she accused the government of shirking.
We plan to designate the East-West corridor as a special growth home. Some of the industries we can target are as follows: food processing and packaging, location, agricultural produce from wherever it comes, the south and the east and so on. Food processing and packaging. Again, these are things we spend a lot of money on importing, given forex shortages. We can do this here.
And still in Trinidad and Tobago, 6 months after the 2018 budget was approved, the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament has approved a $100 million allocation to pay fuel subsidies. But Finance Minister Com Imber says the move won't necessarily translate into higher prices at the pumps. We get more in this report from Joel Brown of TV6 News.
6 months after the 2017-2018 budget was passed by the Parliament, its Standing Finance Committee approved an additional $100 million for the Energy Ministry to fund the fuel subsidy on gasoline and diesel.
Is it fair to say that the country can expect an increase in prices at the pump of oil price, of gas prices at the pump, based on where the oil price is at today?
No, I would not answer it in that way. What I would say is that in several budgets now we have said we'll introduce a formula where as the price of oil moves, the price of gas at the pump will move in tandem with it. We have not introduced that formula yet.
The budget was partly based on an oil price of US $52 per barrel. On October 2nd, 2017, super gasoline went from $3.58 per litre to $3.97 per litre. Diesel went from $2.30 per litre to $3.41 per litre. The finance minister said the government did not expect oil to trade at US $70 per barrel as it is now, and this does not necessarily mean the Treasury is getting a lot of money.
Because 60% of our oil is produced by Petrotrin, which has not been in a position to remit royalties to the Ministry of Finance. However, the liability then falls on the government to pay the fuel subsidy. So in reality, when oil prices go up, it may create a problem for the government rather than solving a problem for the government.
He said the government inherited a problem after the UNC sued it over the Children's Act passed under the PP administration, which he claimed led to an additional $10 million allocation for the Office of the Prime Minister for loan payments for NIPDEC.
because we were given deadlines by the court as a result of the proclamation of an incomplete system by your government. $100,000 a child is what it is costing your inaction.
I now understand that Anand Ram Logan caused a sub-item for you to put under the office of the Prime Minister, as opposed to the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Works, or any other place.
An additional $30 million was approved for the DPP's office for legal and accounting fees associated with the CL Financial CRICO matter.
And still to come in Caribbean Newsline, a senior lawyer weighs in on the Cayman Islands' plan to take the UK government to court. Stay with us. There's more news after the break.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the color of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
A veteran lawyer in the Cayman Islands says he believes it will be expensive and ultimately futile for the British Overseas Territory to take the United Kingdom government to court over legislation that will force it to make company owners public. The government says it's retaining legal advisors to challenge the threat of an order by the UK government requiring its overseas territories to introduce a publicly accessible register of the beneficial ownership of companies within the jurisdiction by December 31st, 2020. Premier Alden McLaughlin said he would write to Prime Minister Theresa May and seek a meeting with her on the matter when he's in the UK on May 14th. Attorney-at-law Steve McField weighs in on the move in this report from Cayman 27's Vonnie Ebanks.
Local attorney Dr. Steve McField says he's concerned if the Cayman Islands government moves forward with challenging the UK government in court over public beneficial ownership, saying it will hurt the public purse.
It's going to cost us a lot of money. If the House of Commons wants this, and the law lords in England wants this, and people want this, it's not going to be easy for us to fight them, because they are going to use whatever power they have to fight this case through to the end to get what they want.
He believes to take the fight forward, all should get involved.
I haven't seen the private sector who's making the millions and millions and millions from all of these overseas services. I don't see them say how much money they are going to put in.
The issue of legal challenge came to the forefront after an amendment to the Sanction and Anti-Money Laundering Bill was passed in the UK Parliament, seeking to force British overseas territories to make a public registries of beneficial ownership by 2020. Dr. McField says there are options.
We could ask the court to review what the order, what the Privy Council have done. We could do that. And of course, we would have to start there. And then we would, if we're not satisfied with the court decision there, we can go to the European Court of Justice there to do that.
As for our chances of being successful, he says it may not be as clear-cut as when former Premier and current House Speaker McKeeva Bush took on the UK when they tried to force taxes on the Cayman Islands.
It was not a supreme law from the sovereign and her advisors. It was not. It was just a sort of local issue. It was not an order in council. It was not a law that they were imposing.
And when asked about Cayman possibly going independent, Dr. McField said,
"We cannot even maintain this territory what we have now. The United Kingdom, we have a constitution now that we have not even complied with that, and that has been enforced from 2009."
And less than 1 month after the inauguration of Cuba's new president, Miguel Diaz-Canel, he received a visit from Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres. This is the first time in 20 years that Guterres, a former Prime Minister of Portugal, has been in the Spanish-speaking Caribbean nation. One of the main reasons for Guterres' visit was to address the opening session of the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, ECLAC. We get more in this report from Richards of Canal Caribe in Cuba.
Secretary of the United Nations Organization, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, held official talks with the presidents of Cuba's Council of State and Ministers, the recently elected Miguel Diaz-Canel Bermudez. During his short visit to Cuba, the major representative of the United Nations spent a brief and interesting tour through the historical center of Havana just hours before Cuba taking over the presidency of the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, ECLAC, for 2 years during the 37th session of this entity, whose meetings are taking place now in Havana's Conference Center until next Friday, May the 11th. The General Secretary of the United Nations and the President of Cuba attended the opening ceremony of the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, along with Alicia Bárcena, Executive Secretary of the ECLAC, and June Summer, General Secretary of the Association of the Caribbean States. Likewise, ambassadors to Cuba from the Caribbean community are now present at this important regional meeting. The Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean is making an urgent call for a great political move that should enable reversion of the regional throwback in global economy and the existing inequality, both of which are forcing costs in terms of economic growth in our societies, in the waste of human capacities, low quality of life, and in the disruption of unity in our social and political affairs.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, West Indies begin preparation in earnest for next month's Sri Lanka series. Stay with us. Sport is next.
The Caribbean's greatest summer line. Yeah, it's country around the time. 44 is the hair. I know you love it here. Troops and festivities. We love the Caribbean. The clown night, no time for sleep. Emancipate with me. Let food and folklore. Culture around the 44. Let food and folklore. Welcome to our island shore. Let food and folklore. Entertainment to die for. Let food and folklore. Culture around the 44.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the color of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Be watching on May 12th as the Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence is broadcast live from the Pegasus Hotel in Jamaica. Join us from 7:30 p.m. Eastern Caribbean Time as Kai Miller of Jamaica, Noel and Siobhan Joseph of Trinidad and Tobago, Andrew Boyle of Guyana, and Adesh Ramsubag of Trinidad and Tobago receive $500,000 TT, a medal and citation for their work in the arts, sciences, public and civic contributions, and entrepreneurship.
The Career Development Institute's Caribbean Rising Stars in Beauty competition determines the best and most talented in hair, makeup, nails, or barbering. Win a scholarship and prizes worth more than $5,000. Build your clientele and expand your business. Upload 4 photographs of your best work to our email address. Watch the public vote on our Facebook page. Join the winners at the prestigious Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center for a live finals competition. Email careerdevelopment.institute@yahoo.com. The Career Development Institute, bringing the best in regional beauty together.
West Indies batting group began their preparation in earnest for the Sri Lanka series with the start of a 5-day camp on Tuesday. Vice Captain Craig Brathwaite, who has emerged as the Caribbean's leading batsman in recent times, is among 9 current Test players who will be involved in the camp at the UWI K-Ville campus under the guidance of West Indies A coach Floyd Reefer. Left-hander Devon Smith, who played the last of his 38 Tests 3 years ago, has also been included along with Windies A wicketkeeper batsman Jamar Hamilton. As expected, batting star Shea Hope features in the camp along with Roston Chase, Kieran Powell, Shimron Hetmeyer, Jermaine Blackwood, Raymond Reefer and wicketkeeper Shane Dowich. Following the end of the camp next weekend, the main camp involving the provisional squad for the Sri Lanka series will bowl off at UWI. West Indies will take on Sri Lanka in 3 tests which run from June 6th to 27th, with matches set for Queen's Park Oval in Trinidad and Tobago, the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground in St. Lucia and Kensington Oval in Barbados. The final test at the Oval will be an historic day-night affair. Meanwhile, Bangladesh has named teen-aged fast bowler Yasin Arafat in a 31-member provisional squad for the upcoming tour of the Caribbean. The 19-year-old has been rewarded for a series of impressive performances in the domestic competition and will join the established likes of Tamim Iqbal, Mushafir Rahim and Mahmudullah Riyad, who have been cleared by the medical team after recovering from their respective injuries. Batsman Tushar Imran has been overlooked despite his recent heavy scoring. Test all-rounder Naeem Islam has also been ignored. The squad also includes the likes of outstanding all-rounder Shakib Al-Hassan, Shafuil Islam and Rubel Hussain. The squad will begin training on May 13th before heading to Afghanistan for a brief series and then on to the Caribbean to face West Indies in 2 tests, 3 one-day internationals and 3 T20 internationals. New Zealanders Luke Ronchi and Mitchell McClellan have been named to compete the ICC World 11 for the fundraising T20 International against West Indies at Lord's later this month. The pair will join the side skippered by England white ball captain Ian Morgan, and which includes the likes of international stars Pakistan's Shoaib Malik, Bangladesh's Shakib Al-Hassan and exciting Afghanistan leg spinner Rashid Khan. Funds from the fixture will go towards repairing stadia in the Caribbean that were damaged by Hurricanes Irma and Maria last September. Ronchi, a wicketkeeper batsman who played the last of his internationals almost a year ago, said he felt the need to get involved in the game because of the cause. The May 31st match will also feature the likes of Indians Dinesh Karthik and Hardik Pandya, along with Tamim Iqbal of Bangladesh, Pakistan's Shahid Afridi and Sri Lanka's Tisara Pereira. West Indies will boast a strong side that includes Chris Gayle, Evan Lewis and Andre Russell. And the ICC World 11 captain says he's expecting an engrossing encounter. Still in cricket in demand, West Indies all-rounder Dwayne Bravo will ply his trade for Middlesex in the upcoming England T20 Blast. The 34-year-old currently playing for Chennai Super Kings in the Indian Premier League will turn out for Middlesex in their first 6 matches of the season. Bravo boasts an impressive short format resume with titles in the Indian Premier League, with CSK, the Caribbean Premier League with Trinbago Knight Riders, and in the Bangladeshi Premier League with Dakar Dynamites. He has also helped West Indies win the T20 World Cup twice. Middlesex Managing Director of Cricket Angus Fraser says the club knew it was acquiring a match winner. Bravo is one of the world's most experienced T20 cricketers with 5,635 runs and 420 wickets in 385 matches. The Trinidadian remains the only bowler with more than 400 wickets in the format. The former West Indies one-day captain said he was looking forward to the short stint with the Lords based Middlesex. Switching sports, the Cayman Islands senior men's football squad begins preparation for the CONCACAF League of Nations beginning in September. In this report from Cayman's 27's Jordan Aminis, we hear that the team will see some new faces after a 3-year hiatus from national duty.
It's been over 3 years since the Cayman Islands national men's football team have stepped foot on the pitch as a unit. And assistant coach Gonzalo McLaughlin says they may be unrecognizable to some.
It's pretty much a selection of 35 players. Pretty much all the players are 25 years and under. It's a young group, all in their prime.
And with just a handful of holdovers from the team that was ousted by Belize in World Cup qualifying matches back in 2015, McLaughlin says the large training camp roster is set to increase even further.
We do have some players overseas that's attending university and overseas, attending some football programs in England, in the U.S. So we're looking forward for those international players to come in and increase the numbers of the squad and make it a more competitive squad and a better squad.
And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
The Career Development Institute's Caribbean Rising Stars in Beauty competition determines the best and most talented in hair, makeup, nails, or barbering. Win a scholarship and prizes worth more than $5,000. Build your clientele and expand your business. Upload 4 photographs of your best work to our email address. Watch the public vote on our Facebook page. Join the winners at the prestigious Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center for a live finals competition. Email careerdevelopment.institute@yahoo.com. The Career Development Institute, bringing the best in regional beauty together.
Again, the major developments of this day: Jamaica's opposition files a legal challenge to block the National Identification Registration Act that it says will invade citizens' privacy. And in sport, West Indies begin their preparation in earnest for the Sri Lanka series with the start of a 5-day camp. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and do have yourselves a good night.